Hi guys, I'm Michelle from The Recipe Bandit, and today we're going to be making one of our favorite side dishes. You know, we make a lot of meals, a lot of things that your family will like to eat, but honestly, it's good to have some good go-to side dish recipes, and this one is one of our favorites. This recipe is for melting potatoes. Now, we typically use baby potatoes for this, but sometimes you don't have baby potatoes, and you can do this with any potatoes. It doesn't have a lot of ingredients, as you can see here, but they're really flavorful and delicious because the way that you cook them in the oven, you get really crispy outsides and you get really fluffy insides. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to whip this one together. It does take a little bit of time in the oven to cook. This is about a 45-minute recipe for these to cook, and you need a cast iron pan. But the results are really worth it. And the leftovers, if there are any, are delicious. So let's real quick, before I get started, let's just talk about our ingredients real quick. We have 1.5 pounds of potatoes. And like I said, typically I use the baby potatoes and I buy the little bags of the baby potatoes and I just cut them right in half and I'm done with it. But today I have these kind of like middle-sized potatoes. They're not big potatoes, they're not little potatoes, they're just middle-sized potatoes. We're going to cut these into bite-sized pieces, and this is how we're going to use these. We would do the same if they were bigger potatoes. We have 3 tablespoons of butter. We're going to melt that. We have a couple of cloves of garlic that we've cut into little pieces. We've sliced it thinly. We have some thyme leaves, some salt and pepper, and then we have some chicken broth. And the chicken broth is really where the magic is in this recipe. So let me get my things together and let's go ahead and get started making these. All right, so now for this recipe, it's important that you have a cast iron pan. This is about a 12-inch cast iron pan. You need your potatoes to all fit into this pan. So we use 1.5 pounds of potatoes, and when we cut them into bite-sized pieces, they should all fit here. You need to have one of the cut sides, the flat sides, have to be down in order for this recipe to work. So you just kind of want to make sure that you're not doing too many potatoes and that they're all going to fit in the pan that you choose. So the first part, we're going to need a bowl. We're going to need a bowl. We're going to cut our potatoes up, and we're going to toss everything into this bowl with the butter, the kosher salt and pepper, and the thyme. We're going to leave the chicken broth and the garlic until the third step. So that's just off to the side for right now, and we're just going to focus on the potatoes. We're going to microwave the butter so that it's melted. And then that way, when we have our potatoes cut, we're going to toss them right in the butter. And while it's doing that, let's cut up our potatoes. All right, so like I said, when you have the little baby potatoes, you can usually just cut them right in half, and that's going to be small enough. These ones are kind of in the middle place, where if we keep them as big as these are, they're probably going to take too long to cook. I've already washed them. I'm keeping the skins on, and we're just going to put them into bite-sized pieces. That's going to work great. Butter's melted. So as we cut the potatoes, we're going to put them right into the butter. Butter's melted and the potatoes are in the butter. So now we're going to add some kosher salt and pepper, and we're going to add our thyme leaves. We're going to toss all of this in that melted butter, just like this, so that everything gets nice and coated. You want the butter and the seasonings to be all over the outsides of these potatoes so that those flavors get roasted right into them while we're cooking them. The melting part comes at the very end, the last 15 minutes, when we are going to add the broth and the garlic. But for right now, this is what we're trying to do, this right here. Let me show you, see? This is our potato pieces. They are coated now in kosher salt, pepper, and some dried thyme. Now I'm going to dump them into my cast iron pan, and I'm also going to take any extra butter and seasonings, put that right onto the top. I'm going to spread out my potatoes. You can see that the potatoes fit, right? They fit in the pan. But you really want to have a flat side down. And the reason why is because that side is going to cook up nice and crispy. So you don't want it to be on a skin side. You really do want it to be a flat side down. So if you take an opportunity, take a minute, an extra minute, and flip them all over so that you have at least one flat side down right on the cast iron. It's going to make your potatoes so much better. This is how the potatoes look when they're covered in the butter, the thyme, and the kosher salt and pepper, and they're ready to go into the oven. These are going to go into a 400-degree oven, and their total cook time is going to be, like I said, about 45 minutes. We're going to break it up into 15-minute increments, and we're going to check them after 15 minutes, stir, 15 minutes, check and stir, and then the last 15 minutes is where we're going to put in that chicken broth and the garlic and let those flavors, like let that chicken broth just get soaked up into these potatoes. It is just, they're amazing. They are so delicious. So let's go ahead and get these in the oven and get them started. All right, so at the 15-minute mark, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and take them out of the oven, bring them out, give them a stir. This is going to help all of that butter to kind of continue to coat them. It's going to make sure that the crispy edges continue. But just kind of give them all a toss and then flip them back over so that you have a flat side down, and then they're going to go back into the oven for another 15 minutes. All right, we're at the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to grab them out. So they're bubbling. I'm going to give them another stir because they're kind of sticking to the bottom, which is what happens when they're creating that really good crust on them. All right, a little hot, but okay, there's a good example. You see that crust on the side that was flat side down? That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to put them all kind of back in the middle. We're not going to worry about flipping them anymore to the flat side. We have our crispy flat sides, so we're good. We are going to, at this time, take our garlic, or 2 cloves of garlic that we cut into little pieces. Like, we're going to put them into the pan, and we are going to take our chicken broth, and we're going to pour our chicken broth all over these potatoes. I am going to make sure that all of the potatoes are in the bottom and not up on the sides, because what's going to happen next is that these potatoes are going back into the oven. They're already cooked, but what's going to happen is that this chicken broth we just put in there is now going to get sucked up into the potatoes while they cook. It's going to get absorbed in there with the thyme and the garlic and the butter and the salt and the pepper, and it is going to make these the best tasting thing ever, honestly. And they will melt in your mouth. They'll have crispy outsides, soft, fluffy insides, and we just have 15 more minutes to put them back in the oven. Let this, all of this broth get absorbed, and we'll be ready to eat. All right, it's now time to reveal our final product, to take our potatoes out of the oven and take a look at them and see how we did. So here's our potatoes finally finished. Oh my gosh. The potatoes themselves, have crispy outsides and fluffy, delicious middles that have soaked in that garlic and that chicken broth. There's none left in the pan. It's all in the potatoes. And these are going to be the perfect side dish tonight for dinner. This recipe is one of the ones that takes a little longer to make, but everybody always says, what the heck did you do to those potatoes? And you know what? After you've made them this way, you're going to want to make them this way again. They are just that good. Anyway, if you guys decide to make them, the recipe for these melting potatoes is on our website at therecipebandit.com. It's also down in the description on the video, so you don't have to go far to find it. If you like what we're doing here, please like and subscribe. Turn on that notification button so that you know when we're putting out new videos. When they come out, we try to put them out at least once a week now. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. I hope you will make these. I hope you'll try them. And if you do, let me know. Let me know what you think. See you again soon. Enjoy these if you make them.